What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Iris Ohm, Fishcake, Forbidden Fan 12, Just Cyan, Saturn Coon, Smokin' Santa, Tenebris, Major, Luckless, Justin Perez, William Clark, Lunar Beats, Brian Imika Njoku, Virtue Will, Ross Lingard, Chris P., Lee Run Nan, Trent, Dimitri Rice, Maniacs, Avion Jays Turner, Fordrin, Spencer, Sean Anderson, Scar X Scar, Anthony Escobar, J Vibe, Brendan Wallace, Zaquan Little, Shadow Man, David Brown, Michael Polson, Ericles, Raven Fighter 91, Carol Rollman, Peter Kyo Lin, Dion Atwood, Joe Hardy, Icarus Crown, Ethan Vaughn, Melancholic Coffee, Dorian Wicks, Emmanuel Chavez, Ross Hatfield, KC, Chelsea Keel, Ezar, and as always, I'd like to give a big shout out to our executive producers, Joshua Fix, The Gimster 101, Bevan Brummett, and Vincenzo. Thank you all very much for your support. If you wish to become a YouTube member, feel free to click the join button, which is down by the subscribe button right down below. And if you want to check out our Patreon, feel free to click the link down below in the description to find out more. We'll see you there. Oh, I got a new tool. Wait, is this a... Oh my gosh, dude, I can melt through metal now. Yay! Any upgrades available? Hello, hello. Yeah. You know what? I got a full minute of blowtorch. Well, we finished it. I mean, we finished all of the Dead Meat Saw movies, Saw movie reviews, and the kill counts.
It's better than we can say for some of the others we started and never finished his.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I mean, some hit off the bat, and then others just kept asking for it and asking for it. And the reason why we took so long on Jigsaw is because Nick hadn't seen it yet. And, we watched the kill count to it, and one of
the things that helped, by the way, for me finally getting to watch it is, like, I was going to watch it on Hulu. And I saw this thing, and it was like, you can watch it, and it'll be available at this time. And I'm like, does that mean only at that time? And we're like, nah, surely not. That's just when it's going to be on Hulu. And sure enough, it was a thing. They were just, like, showing it one time. Like, it was like a live stream at that point. It was kind of an on-demand type thing.
Yeah.
But, like, a few weeks later, and after we got completely moved in, now it actually is on Hulu on demand. So,
okay.
I just saw it was up there, and I was like, oh, shit. So I started watching it, and then finished it the other day, and then we watched the kill count, finally.
Yeah, and it was good to finish that. It was good to finish that series. But there's also, there's also some other videos out there. This one I saw, it was the 8 smartest decisions made by Saw characters. So I'm interested to see which ones are like the top level decisions that characters have made, but I know a few. I know a few that are like
talking earlier, and probably the tracheotomy with a pin is probably one of the most intelligent and under pressure decisions, I would say. So,
well, yeah,
that's got to be on this list.
It held him out until he was able to be rescued, which that's what you want. I mean, and plus, that's a hard one to, because you go too high, you hit your Adam's apple. You go too low, you hit your chest, and you kind of got to like hit it right on the money to go through and not do anything. But there were other decisions that I applauded. And
I'd say if you went too deep too, you can end up piercing through the back of your airway, which would be bad too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I remember the one movie Anaconda had a tracheotomy scene in it, and that one was pretty graphic. Did you ever see Anaconda?
Yeah, once, but I barely remember it.
I had to watch that movie at least 10 times, and not my fault, Zach's fault. He loved that movie. He wouldn't leave it alone, and I was just like, and going back and watching it again as an adult, I'm just like, damn it, I don't want to see Danny Trejo blow his brains out again.
See, when it came out, I think I was still too young to go to the theater by myself, because it came out a long fucking time ago. And I kind of wanted to see it, but my mom is terrified of snakes, so she didn't let me see it.
Nice.
There's no way in the heck she was going to go watch that movie.
There was a, oh yeah, there it is.
She's not as brave as me. I've gone and watched shark movies. Didn't really enjoy them, but I have.
Yeah,
my mom will not watch anything with a snake.
All I remember is that there was so many things in that film that were just so hokey, like John Voight and his like hokey accent, you know, the snakes, you know, the special effects with the snakes were pretty some of the practical ones were pretty cool. I liked some of those, but also just Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube as the two leads, and I was just like, damn, like music, because that was like some of their first ones where they were like, or actually it was like one of Jennifer Lopez's like first where she was like starting to break out as like a leading actress. Now look where she is. I mean, you go up and you go down. That's the Hollywood system. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
sometimes you just keep going up. Sometimes you just kind of go up really high and then you just keep going down.
Like Nicolas Cage. There was a time, dude, Nicolas Cage ruled the fucking world.
Well, now he's actually going back up a little.
Well, he's coming back. I mean, Mandy and like a few other films have just made him like brought his stock back up. But there was a time where he just kept making film after film after film after film to eventually the point where people were just like, Jesus Christ, that's like 6 films in 1 year, Nicholas. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. But the Saw movies, with Spiral coming out, I'm very excited.
Keanu Reeves, who just seems to be going up and up and up and up.
Well, he hit bottom a couple times, dude.
Well, yeah, but like here lately, like
John Wick and
nothing but
the Matrix the new Matrix movie coming out.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like Cyberpunk's, like, you know, had the whole fiasco with it, but everybody was still pretty stoked to see that he was going to be in it.
Oh yeah, dude. And plus Johnny Silverhand.
I don't think anybody's faulting him for any of that.
No.
So, well, if they are, they're dumb.
How could you fault him for it, dude?
Yeah, it's not his fault. The game was buggy as shit.
Yeah, there was the heads at CD Projekt Red who just didn't want to play test and do shit right. And again, I'll admit when I'm wrong on that shit. I was wrong when it came to, you know, the criticism of Cyberpunk. Don't get me wrong, there's some things that people did blow out of proportion, but there's other things that, yeah, CD Projekt Red did lie through their fucking teeth, which they paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's get
at least they keep patching it. Hopefully it'll eventually be kind of decent.
As of right now, I'd say it's a mostly playable game. It's mostly...
It's playable, it's just still kind of immersion breaking with how many bugs you're probably going to run into.
Still,
apparently Dodo got lucky as fuck, and before the first major patch played it through without ever running into a bug, and I'm just like, you are the luckiest motherfucker in the whole world.
Yeah, I ran
into like 14 in a 2-hour play session.
God, Jesus.
Not to mention, I was the one guy out of all the group of people that were playing it on Discord and talking about it that actually had the game-breaking fucking bug that wouldn't let me progress the story past the first area.
Jackie didn't spawn in the place he was supposed to.
Jackie wasn't there, so I couldn't finish the intro set of events. So.
Oh, God. All right.
I did all the side shit on the first area and had done everything I could possibly do. Went to do the last quest there to move on with the main story. This is still before the title card even dropped, by the way. Couldn't fucking go anywhere. Anyways, this is Saw's 8 smartest decisions made by Saw characters.
In order for a lot of horror movies to work, the main characters have to be a little bit on the dim side, to put it nicely. And in the world of Saw, that's an absolute understatement, as the characters constantly find new idiotic ways to mess up Jigsaw's game. However, every so often some characters do exhibit some moments of genuine wit and quick thinking that might even save their lives. Admittedly, they might go on to die later on, but we can still fondly remember these moments as being some of the smart decisions made within the Saw franchise. I'm Josh from What Culture Horror, and these are the 8 smartest decisions made by Saw characters. Number 8. Erik Matthews escapes his shackles, Saw 3. The
Breaking
moment
his
in
leg,
the original
yeah.
Saw movie where Lawrence Gordon chops off his foot in order to escape his shackles is, of course, one of the most iconic scenes in horror movie history. But that wasn't actually the best way for him to deal with this rather sticky situation. The best way was in fact demonstrated a couple of movies later by Erik Matthews, who at the end of Saw 2 finds himself shackled up just like Gordon was. Skip ahead to Saw 3 and Matthews is seen trying to set himself free. He kicks at the pipe he's attached to and uses a hacksaw to try and cut through his chains, but to no avail. Coming to the conclusion that he's going to have to hurt himself in order to escape, Matthews initially thinks about pulling a Gordon by chopping off his foot, before realising that there's actually a smarter way for him to go about things. Grabbing a nearby toilet tank lid, he breaks his foot by smashing into it several times, which makes it flexible enough, for lack of a better term, to pull through the shackles. And sure, chopping your foot off or smashing it to bits are probably on equal levels in terms of pain, but at least here Matthews' method allowed him to keep all of his limbs attached to his body
Jello
and
enough.
not risk quickly.
Yeah, made it just like a
bag of bone fragments.
It's like a bag of chunky pudding.
See, that's
Like
the whole thing, though, is
a
like
gallon bag of chunky pudding.
it's smarter. I could argue, I think, from like not being a medical professional by any means, but I believe that it doesn't really make that much difference. It might be smarter in just the idea that you're not going to be as at risk of possibly bleeding to death before you find help. But true. You're probably still going to have that foot amputated because smashing your bones into powder, like, that may not be repairable.
Well, no, they can potentially put pins and shats and
I guess it just depends on how lucky you are,
well,
and how it ends up
how
breaking.
quick they get there, and if necrosis is set in. If necrosis is set in, they got to cut everything, because then there's like the Alex Smith thing where his bone literally broke out of the skin and went septic, and he literally like developed necrosis on his leg, and they had to amputate the entire top muscle section of his shin completely. Like, there was nothing left. They had to do grafts from like other parts of his body for muscle so that he could have a working leg. It's freaking terrifying to think about that.
Hoffman tricks Strahm into signing his own death warrant, Saw 5.
Yeah.
Strahm is one of the most likable characters in the Saw franchise. I mean, he's played by Luke from Gilmore Girls after all, so that was always going to be a given. And overall, he's quite intelligent as well. But in this particular instance, he got played like an absolute fool. After figuring out that it's Mark Hoffman who has committed several grisly murders, Strahm decides to bring his reign of terror to an end. Following Hoffman to an underground tunnel network, Strahm eventually finds a room with a large glass coffin in the center, inside of which is a tape recorder. You know where this is going. Upon playing this recorder, Strahm hears a message left for him by Hoffman. If he climbs inside the coffin, he will live, and if he doesn't, he will die. It's a simple little game, but since Strahm obviously knows that Hoffman is a murderer, he isn't just going to climb inside a small glass box for no good reason, and so he doesn't. It seems like a smart horror move, because that coffin is clearly a death trap, right? Well, no. After a brief scuffle, it's Hoffman who ends up inside the coffin, at which point it's revealed that he was actually telling the truth. The coffin was safe all along. This results in Strahm being crushed to death while Hoffman, lying inside the coffin, is lowered out of harm's way. Since Hoffman wanted Strahm dead in this case, you could argue that there was probably an easier way to go about doing this, but hey, it wouldn't be Saw without some theatrics, would it? Number 6. Emily uses her children as a survival tactic, Saw 6. The shotgun carousel in Saw 6 is one of the simpler traps in the series, with the victims not having to sacrifice any blood or flesh in order to survive. Instead, they just sit there and spin round and round in circles, while their survival is determined entirely by one man, William Easton.
Nope, they have to convince him to
so
let him
often the
survive.
carousel will stop, placing one of these 6 victims in front of a loaded shotgun. At this point, Easton can press 2 buttons to make the shotgun fire upwards, sparing the particular victim's life. On the downside though, he can only do this twice, meaning that 4 people will eventually die. Upon learning these rules, the victims naturally start pleading with Easton to save them, but rather than pleading via purely selfish means, Emily decides to try a different, smarter tactic instead. In this moment, she reminds Easton of her children. When the shotgun is in front of her, Emily tells Easton that her kids can't grow up without her, and this resonates with Easton, who decides to save her. Demonstrating how smart Emily's tactic was, the other victims then immediately start copying her. using non-selfish pleas like "my parents are ill" or "I'm pregnant," even though it's not actually quite clear whether these claims are actually true. While you could say that this was an obvious move to make on Emily's part, she did play the game perfectly regardless, which her survival proves. Number 5. Hoffman's body switcheroo, Saw 3D. In Saw 3D, the game seems to be up for Hoffman. The police have figured out that he's taken over from John Kramer and are desperately trying to hunt him down. In retaliation though, he sets up a bunch more games and taunts them with videotapes sent directly to the officers. Despite being on the back foot though, he almost succeeds in outwitting the police force and tying up all of his loose ends. Dropping red herrings in his videos, he's able to send the detectives on a wild goose chase, while he himself swaps out the body of a recent game victim and slips inside the body bag ready to be taken off. This allows him to be transported exactly where he needs to be covertly, and as a result he's able to execute his revenge plan, going on a brutal killing spree and placing Jill in the same bear trap that she put him in previously. Hoffman unsurprisingly shows up a bunch of times on this list, but this convoluted master plan gained him his biggest body count. Number 4. Simone chops off her arm, Saw 6. When Simone and Eddie are locked in a room in Saw 6 and told to cut off chunks of their own flesh, they both go about that gruesome task in 2 completely different ways. And in the end, Simone's method proves to be the much smarter plan. Being a bit of a heavier fella, Eddie starts cutting small pieces of flesh right off his flabby stomach, which isn't very efficient in the grand scheme of things. I mean, not that there's a simple or easy way to mutilate yourself, but if we do look at things rationally here, Eddie's fleshy chunks are pretty small, and they take a lot of time and a lot of pain to actually remove. Simone initially tries a similar method, aiming to slice up small chunks of flesh, in her case her fingers, to tip the scales in her favour. But when she's unable to go through with this, she eventually just says, to hell with it, and decides to lop off a huge amount of flesh in one big chunk, that being her left arm. Yes, it's still absolutely painful as hell, and yes, she does have to sacrifice an entire arm, but it's undeniable that taking an all-in-one-go approach is far better than chipping away at your body in small pieces. I mean, just look at Poor Eddie here, who methodically tried to remove small lumps of stomach when he could have just lopped off his arm with a few brief swings and won right away. Poor guy. Number 3. Stram's tracheotomy, Saw 5.
That's the one I was talking
straps
about.
in the Saw series have some clear way to escape them. I mean, usually...
It also irks me that this is the same character that, like, fucked up and, like, let him get in the box and be safe.
It was Strom's... I think it was Strom's unwillingness to, like, to play into the trap, because, actually, I think it was Hoffman knowing Strom wouldn't fall for it. Knowing that Strom would see the the case with the glass in the bottom of it and would just be like, no, I'm not doing this, I'm not playing your game. And Hoffman going in there and just basically just being like, oh, I actually wanted you to put me in here. That's my thinking on it, but I don't know. I
don't know.
There's a few things that could, but alright.
The trap that Peter Stram finds himself in at the start of Saw 5 is the exact opposite. Left alone in a room with a cube-shaped box around his head, Stram is forced to watch as his miniature prison slowly fills up with water. He has no phone, no keys, and no weapons of any kind. Put simply, it's a completely dire situation. This feeling of helplessness is amplified when the box is completely filled with water, and Stram obviously starts to drown. With no way out, it looks like he's done for, but at the very last second, he finds a pen in his pocket and rams it into his throat, giving himself a tube through which he can breathe. It's a moment of pure genius, especially considering how little time Stram had to work out a plan and how stressful the situation actually was. He is pretty bloody lucky that he had that pen on him though, otherwise he'd be done for. Number 2, Hoffman survives the reverse bear trap.
Yeah, this one as well.
Just like Stram, Mark Hoffman was placed into a supposedly unwinnable situation at the climax of Saw 6. Only this one was set to have a much more grisly outcome. After being captured by John Kramer's ex-wife Jill, Hoffman is strapped to a chair and has a reverse bear trap attached to his head. While it's normally possible to escape this particular trap, like when Amanda Young used a key in the original film, Hoffman is basically left for dead here, and it's only with some smart out-of-the-box thinking that he's able to escape the trap with his head intact. Well, mostly intact. After using the bear trap itself to smash his hand to pieces, which allows him to slip it out the straps on the chair, Hoffman enters a blind panic, frantically trying to use a screwdriver to set himself free. However, this effort fails miserably. Then, just as it looks like it's game over, Hoffman decides to ram the front part of the trap in between the bars located on the door, preventing it from springing open and tearing his head apart. The vast majority of people would have just died here, but Hoffman, well, he clearly had his Weetabix in the morning. Number 1, Kramer recruits Gordon to help him with his work.
That's pretty sick.
While certain characters have displayed isolated moments of quick wit here, it's hard to deny that the smartest person in the entire Saw franchise is the one who's been outplaying everyone from the very beginning. That, of course, being John Kramer, aka the Jigsaw Killer. Now, he's obviously not the nicest chap in the world, but he has made countless smart decisions over the years, and if we had to single out just one of them, then it's the way he recruited Lawrence Gordon, which is arguably the wisest move he ever made. Gordon was, of course, one of the victims in the original Saw movie, with his desperation causing him to chop off his own foot. After almost dying of bloodlust though, he was found by Kramer, who, instead of killing Gordon off for good or leaving him for dead, patched him up, fitted him with a prosthetic leg, and then set him free. Kramer is essentially manipulating Gordon by doing all of this though, trying to get him on his side, and in the end he's successful, gaining himself an incredibly useful ally in the process. As Kramer himself puts it, his work in the Saw sequels, quote, would not have been possible without Gordon's help. As a doctor, Gordon's medical expertise proves invaluable in setting up many of the traps we've seen in the series, such as placing a key behind Michael Marks's eye and sewing Art Blank's mouth shut. Furthermore, Gordon is able to avenge Jill's death by killing Mark Hoffman, ensuring that Kramer's final request is carried out long after his own death at the end of Saw 3. So that's our list. Want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are there any smart decisions made in the Saw movies that I missed off here? And while you're down there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to What Culture Horror for more videos like this on the regular. Even if you don't, though I did. Josh, thank you so much for watching.
So, I think, actually, while it didn't technically play out for him, I think picking up the toilet lid and beating the dude to death with it,
Adam in the first one,
was in theory a smart move.
Yes.
Like, just like, you know, it was like, what am I gonna do to defend myself against this guy? Fucking toilet lid! Like,
yeah.
You know, like, I always thought that was, like, pretty fucking brutal, and it's like, yeah, I probably would have done the same thing.
Oh, no, dude. Everyone, like, I told you, like, the reaction I had when I watched it with my dad and my stepmom, like, well, at the time, not my stepmom, but later married my dad. They went and watched Saw, and I went with them, and her reaction to whenever... I'd never seen her like this in a movie before. Like, Jigsaw, or the Zepp getting his head caved in with the toilet lid, you know, she was just like, yes, 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 yes. And I was just like, I was like, damn, this movie's got her. And then at the end, whenever, you know, spoilers by the way, when John Kramer stands up in the middle of the room and reveals himself, the look on her face, and my dad's as well, priceless. You cannot put money on that. That is beautiful whenever it is done so right. And you know, you said you had one person say, "Oh, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it."
Yeah,
like,
my friend
bullshit.
Louis tried to say that, and I think he's full of crap. I think he's just fucking with me.
Not a lot of people.
That is that was hard to predict.
Almost impossible.
Like, you might have been able to predict maybe that, like, okay, yeah, maybe this guy's being manipulated by somebody else, but really, the corpse on the floor is him. Like,
no. You could not have predicted that.
Yeah, that's like one of the most unpredictable, like, well thought out twists I've ever seen.
I want to...
there have been, like, a select few things that have ever made me go, no fucking way! That's one of them.
Yeah.
Phoenix Wright, Dual Destinies had another of them as well. And, like, that's because it did something, like, the series had not done at all, like, up to that point. Like, it broke its own formula. Like, and, like, basically with a character, and, like, it was just, like, this moment where, like, somebody was behind, like, all this shit, and there was no fucking way you would have ever suspected that they were behind that shit, because that's not how Phoenix Wright usually works.
Yeah.
And then when it happens, you're just like, no fucking way! And so is Phoenix Wright when he puts it together, too. He's like, no way!
God. I can't help but just think to myself, you know, just, like, I would love for my nephews. I don't know if they've seen the Saw movies yet. I would love for my nephew Rylan to watch the first Saw movie with me, and I want to see his reaction whenever John Kramer stands
Oh, me
up.
too, dude.
I would love to see.
You either got to record it or you got to let me be there with you when you guys watch it.
Because
anybody that's not seen this before that I get an opportunity to see their reaction, I want to see it.
same, dude. It's honestly some of the best stuff ever.
Because most people have seen it nowadays. So.
Yeah, and that's sad. And there's actually a comment I saw
I mean,
in a video.
Like, at least a lot of people have appreciated it. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, I wish we could do like little forget like machines.
Like, yeah, just a little forget me thing. Just like,
It's like, so you can write yourself like a little note, like, you know, and be like, you've had the memory of this movie erased from your mind specifically for the reason of being able to experience the twist again because it's so amazing. Be like, all right, cool, let's see what this is about, and watch it again and be like, no fucking way.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I'm glad I erased that.
Yeah, that was amazing. It's like my first time playing, what was it? It's Zone of the Enders the first time. I wish I could erase my memory and play that game again. Because just that intro, and
I do and I don't, because like I don't think I would erase my memory of a game that's that old and dated at this point, because when I go back and play it, I see how bad the fucking voice acting and shit is, and I think I only still excuse it because I have so much nostalgia for it.
there's actually talk of...
I'm afraid if I erase my memory of it and I played it now, I wouldn't like it as much.
Well, okay, fair. But, okay, here's one for you. There's talk that Zone of the Enders is going to get a full, like, not an HD remaster, but like a full HD remake. And
is Konami going to be doing it?
yes.
Because I really don't want to support them.
Well, there's talk that they're outsourcing to someone else because they've talked about selling off all their old properties that they're not using anymore. And Zoe is definitely one that has a lot of potential that they did not fully expand on. And I would say maybe, okay, say Blue Point, the same people who remastered Demon Souls gets their hands on it. And also the same people who remastered Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, if they give it to a company like that, I know they'll at least be getting money out of it, and they probably did a good job on it, then fine, I guess.
Yeah, that's...
Still irks me that I'll be giving Konami money by doing that.
Well, okay.
Whenever Kojima should be the one getting the money for that, because it's fucking his.
Yeah, it was his idea. But I think... Let's see. Let me actually look up the details. Can't find the article I saw.
See, all I've seen recently about Konami is all rumors. There's nothing that's really confirmed at all.
Well, nothing concrete, yeah.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But
there was like a heavy like source that says that there's a good chance that they are going to be selling Metal Gear Solid to someone else.
well,
Yeah, I hope. And like they said that like what they're thinking is Microsoft is purchasing it, and I hope that if they purchase it, that they call Hideo and be like, hey, so we got your
game
series
back
over here. You want to come make one with us?
Well, not only that, I would love for them because that's one thing about MGS5 that a lot of people are still pissed about.
That actually, like, that's what I want too. Is I want Metal Gear Solid 5 definitive.
Yeah,
like I still have put off playing it because I'm like,
your hope.
I don't care that much to play it. I'm gonna play it eventually. Obviously, I have it bought right now. It's just I put it off, and I'm not that excited about it.
You know what I would do for the definitive edition? There's two big things I'd do for the definitive edition. Number one, give Hideo Kojima control of the game back and let him finish it. Mm-hmm. Let him finish it how he originally envisioned it to be fully finished. Number two, I love Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Bring back David Hayter. Bring back David
voice.
Hayter, for God fucking sakes.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I agree totally on that.
I
mean, give people the option in the menu. Like,
oh, yeah,
let
yeah.
them toggle it.
Fair enough. That's more than fair. I give it that. All right, well, I think that's going to do it, everyone. This was the 8 Smartest Decisions by Saw Characters by What Culture Horror. If you want to see more from What Culture Horror, click their name in the title of the video. If you want to see more from us, click the subscribe button right down below. Make sure to leave a like on the video. It helps us out a whole lot. And I guess until next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you then, everybody. Peace out.